Republican from Kentucky, House Oversight and Accountability Committee Chairman. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for being here. You heard Peter mention it. There's new information that our U.S. intel agencies, so the Trump administration may not have been aware of it, but the intel agencies were aware that there were additional Chinese spy balloons. How is this going on?
Well, I've been talking about this for several months now, and we have a fourth branch of government, and that's the government bureaucracy, and they're not operating under any type of checks and balances. They're not communicating with the appropriate leaders. They're not abiding by the Constitution, and I think it's very possible that that this happened, and both presidents didn't know about it, both President Trump and President Biden. We've got a problem with our military. We've got a problem with our intelligence community. We've been talking about that on Fox for a long time, but I think it's coming to light in more ways than just interfering in elections. They're not communicating properly with their leadership. The president is the boss. The president is the top of the chain of the command in the military, in the intelligence community, and everything else. And yet we find more and more reports where the intelligence community does not share basic information, important critical information with the commander in chief.
Yeah, it's really scary about who's in charge. Is it the administrative state or the intelligence community, or is it the person that we elected? We call it a spy balloon. I heard Stephen Mosier say we should stop calling it a spy balloon because it makes it sound like it's a birthday party. Like, this is a spy airplane, essentially, or some sort of craft. So that's one thing I want to point out. This is really serious. I also want to move over to Hunter Biden, who we now know had some dealings with Ireland as well, and now he's there. So what does that tell you? Is this trip also part of his business plan?
You know, the business plan, for all practical purposes, is the Biden family takes money from our adversaries around the world for doing things that we haven't yet determined. Now, there is no business. But with respect to seeing Hunter Biden on Air Force One, seeing Hunter Biden lead the President of the United States around, that's a sad part of our American history right there. Because just from looking at these bank violations that I'm going to talk more about next week when we return to Washington, various banks, in the bank's own words, this is how they would describe Hunter Biden, who is leading our President of the United States around on the international stage this past week. They suspect him of laundering money. They suspect him of being an unregistered foreign agent. They suspect him of taking money from countries that we have sanctions on. They suspect him of doing business with an agency under investigation for human trafficking. They suspect him of owing a significant amount of taxes. This is not my word. These are the words of the banks where the Biden family was doing business. And this is the guy that's leading our President of the United States around on the international stage. That is a sad part of our American history right there. And we have to shine a light on all the wrongdoing that this family's doing. And I hope that next week we're able to give a report to the American people of what all we have found from looking at these bank violations that we've had access to in the Treasury Cabinet for the last 2 weeks.
Amazing. How can you deny bank records if they're there of millions of dollars flowing from Chinese companies to Hunter and James Biden? You wonder if there's a moment at which the media can't ignore this.
We're going to get to that point. If we're able to have a press conference next week, which is my goal, and present facts to the American people, this will be hard for the mainstream media to ignore. They ignored, for all practical purposes, the last batch of information that we provided, which was essentially the first batch, where we showed that $3 million went through that Robinson Walker LLC and was laundered then back $1 million plus to the Biden family, to 4 different Biden family members. They didn't cover that. This next report, it's going to be hard for the mainstream media not to cover. You can take my word on that. So we'll see what Joe Biden's future plans are. We'll see how Joe Biden plans on explaining this to the American people. And I will tell you, if the mainstream media doesn't report this next thing, we've got 7 or 8 more reports that we're going to be providing the American people. This story is not going away. It gets worse every day. Every time we find a new bank account, a new hidden LLC, then that opens up another Pandora's box, and it leads to more bank records and to more LLCs and to more direct deposits from our adversaries around the world. So this is something that is going to be very hard to explain for Joe Biden.
All right.